Hello to you all awesome mindsetters and welcome to today's Grade 12 Life Sciences show, proudly brought to you by Macmillan. Today we have a special revision lesson on reproduction. I know that you love this and let's enjoy it.
Asexual and sexual reproduction. Okay, we're still comparing the two. Let's have a look at asexual reproduction in nature. Okay, in nature, there's a couple of things we have to look at, right? We do use asexual and sexual reproduction all over the place. Let's see, mass production of certain things. Okay, we need to do mass production, in other words, lots of them, and we don't have time to just plant seeds all the time. So what we do, okay, we do mass production of sugarcane, okay, and potatoes. Potatoes is a big one because we eat a lot of potatoes. Okay, it's one of the South African staple diet, if I'm not mistaken.
Potatoes,
We eat a lot of it. Okay, so potatoes are a big thing, especially, as I said, in South Africa. Okay, okay, they are planted using cuttings, right, from stems, plain and simple. Now, from stems, can you remember what a potato actually looks like? It's got little nodes on the end, right? And potato is a stem. It's not a root, even though it's found underground. Okay, and then that grows new ones. So they just cut a piece of it and they stick that in, and off it goes. Right. So let's have a look at it. Did you all get that? Okay. So a potato, you can cut a piece out of it, stick it over there, and a new piece would grow. Okay. We've also got stolone, which are horizontal. Horizontal means that way. Horizontal runners. Okay. Now, can you remember a horizontal runner? A horizontal runner is something that shoots out a stem over there and then it drops something over there. A horizontal runner has lateral buds on its shoots. Now, a shoot is a thing that shoots out the side and it puts a new plant there. Okay, now let's have a look at it. An example of this is a strawberry. Now, I can think of a lot of things for strawberries, right? If I have a look at it, can you think of anything?
With? Strawberries. In what way?
Smoothies.
Oh, all the things. Oh, go on top of flapjacks.
See? Carbs, girl. Protein shake. Stick with them, huh? Okay.
Don't judge. I can dream.
You can dream. Stolone have nodes. Now, can you remember your roots? Your plants. Okay. Now, remember, plants have two things. It's got a plant or a stem looks roundabout like that. My drawing's not that bad. And this part here has got your growing points on it. Can you remember? And those growing points is where you find auxin and all your meristematic tissue. You know, all the growing points, the cells that go through mitosis, right? And over here, you don't. This is called your internodes, and this is called your nodes. You should know this, right? This is from last year. Cool. Now, the strawberries have long internodes. Okay, so this part is very long. Okay, that piece is the one that runs out. And every time there's a node, so here we get little roots going. Okay, so little roots going, and a new plant would grow there, and a new there we go, and a new plant would grow over there. Can you see how that works? Okay, so this is how it runs. So the internodes go nice and long, and then a new plant. And the internodes go nice and long, and then it's a new internode. A node. And that's where these plants grow, right? And if we have a look at it, okay, long internodes, as I was saying, right? A bud forms at each node. Now, what is a bud? You know, you get lateral buds, and you get apical buds. And the bud is where a new stem or a new plant or a new root or anything, it's got the growing tissue. Okay, the tissues that go through mitosis, that's where you find them, right? So that's where you find these things, and they produce new plants with roots and shoots. So like I said, this would get a new root, this would get a new shoot and leaves and so on, and then that would become a new plant. Okay, now let's have a look at it. New plants of this, okay, are nourished by the parents. In other words, the parents look after it. Okay? So during that, just think about that shoot as a tunnel where it just passes down the food and the water and says, there, my baby. You eat that because I need to make you nice and strong. That's how it works, right? So that's what the parents do via the Stallone. Sorry, I'm going to go mad, right? Until the new plant is self-sufficient. It's like us. They look after us, like our parents looked after us, right? That's how it works. It's the same thing, but just the plant looking after each other. Okay, then we have a look at it. Some plants have underground stems called, here we go, rhizomes, right, which form shoots, roots from the rhizome, plain and simple, okay, and disappear and new plants become independent. So when it shoots out like this and it drops a new one, a new plant gets made and it's completely separate from the parent. Okay, so you with me there? Just, it's a stem. Underground stem comes over there, drops over there, new roots, new stem, new roots, new shoots, makes a whole new plant. It's quite cool. Right, now, I've got some nice pictures for you. Okay, have a look at that. That is a runner, exactly like I told you. Remember, this here, let me get a different color pen. This part here is the internode. This is where you find a node. This would be your internode. That's where you'll find a node. That'll be your internode. That'll be your node again. Can you see how by all the nodes, the growing points, these plants grow? Okay, then, let's see, I'm sure I had another one here. There we go, it's nice and dark. This is the underground stem. Can you see it? Look how it works. And then all of a sudden it shoots up, new roots, and it goes down. This here, if I'm not mistaken, I have a look at it. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's called hen and chickens. Have you seen hen and chickens?
No.
Oh, okay, well that doesn't help. Okay.
Explain to me.
Hen and chickens also do that shooting out like a strawberry, right? And then there's another one. What is it called? I'll think of the name. It's a beautiful plant, and underneath it gives a stem, and a new plant grows, and they're all joined together. It's like a big family, right? Hey? A family of plants looking after each other. Okay, so now this is where things become a little bit more complicated. Okay, so let's have a look at it. It's very simple. There are two types of asexual reproduction, okay, that we do, that we can help plants with. The first one, of course, is cuttings. Now, cuttings are cool because, just let me give you an example. Let's try Megan. Megan, how many seeds do you find in a rose?
Seeds in a rose?
Seeds. You know what a seed is?
Give me 3 numbers and I'll choose.
No. Nice try. How many seeds do you find in a rose? Beautiful rose. You know those white roses?
Red.
And red roses.
And pink and white.
Velvet roses. Yeah. Go on.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Okay, so she's giving like 1,000. But there's no seeds.
In a rose?
There is no seeds in a rose.
Well, you confused me. You can't ask me that and then be like, there isn't any, because I didn't think there was, because they don't have somewhere for seeds to grow out of. It's not a sunflower.
If you want to go and mess with somebody at a plant, what's a place? Where you get your plants?
Plantland.
Yeah, plant
nursery.
Nursery, that's the one I'm looking for. Walk in there and say, please, can I have some rose seeds? They're gonna. They're not gonna understand it because roses come from cuttings. You will always see a rose comes in a little rose bush, okay, or a bigger rose bush because it comes from a cutting, okay. And a cutting, they cut the end of the stem, okay, and they place that part into water, okay, or to a moist soil. It depends on what happens, okay. So it's a moist soil, okay, and the roots grow from that specific base of the stem. Now, it's pointless, absolutely pointless, just cutting it anyway, okay? I'm going to put out a question and I want an answer, so just send Megan the answer, okay? Where do you think you would cut the stem? Where do you think you would cut the stem if you want to do a cutting? Okay, let's see what you come up with. Then, many flowers, like geraniums, there's a nice one, a geranium, right? This big word, if I can remember what it is.
Good word.
Chrysanthemums. I love those big words. I can never say them. Chrysanthemums, right? And carnations. You know what a carnation is? It's those little white flowers. You normally get them in a carnation. How cool
Yeah.
is that? Right? They can all come from cuttings. That's quite cool. You can cut it at any time. You can do it at home. You can cut it and see how it grows. Try it. You've got nothing to lose. Try it. It's a lot of fun. Okay, I do it with my son, and he's 5. Okay, so you can do it. And the cuttings actually create a new plant. It's like cloning, plain and simple. Same plant, okay, you're just taking its genetic code over there. Okay, then the next one is tissue culture. Okay, you're going to take a cell of a certain plant, and you're going to put it, and you're going to transform it into a new plant. So let's see how they do that. Okay, tissue culture, they use a single cell. It's very important, a single cell. Okay, and it goes through mitosis and grows into a complete new plant. That's it. Now, it's not just going to do that. Okay, we need to add certain things. We need plant hormones. Now, last year you heard about, we spoke about, what's it? No, not auxin. Yeah, it's your gibberellin. Can you remember? Abscisic acid. You remember all of these? These are plant hormones. Okay, now, all of these things promote or make this grow. Okay, now, very important to have these things, otherwise you're not going to get anywhere. Okay, so let's go. This is where the fun starts. Life cycles. Now, I know one of you asked something. I had a look at it. I'm telling you, I have a look at your stuff. Something about alternation of generation. Listen here. That's not going to work for me, huh? Alternation of generation. And I put on, we put down on the net. Hit the brakes. Wait,
With a face,
there.
like,
Now, if we have a look at this, I'm going to start going through this a lot quicker, right? We're looking at how things reproduce. Now, some plants do both, okay? Asexual and sexual reproduction, okay? What I'm going to tell you now, I'm going to just go straight to it. We're going to have a look at the moss, okay? Now, the moss goes through alternation of generation, okay? Now, here's a key thing for you, and I've put it down at the end later on so I can show you, but here's a key thing for you. This section, especially this section, should be revision for you. How cool is that? This is free marks. Can anybody tell me why? Megan, do you know why? It's just free marks.
free marks.
Why is it free marks?
Haven't they already done it?
When?
Last year.
And a brain like yours has to die one day. It scares me. Right? That's exactly right. You did it last year in grade 11. Okay? So all of this, exactly this, is in your grade 11 notes. So if you want me to help you out a little bit further, look at grade 11, 2012, okay, plants. And I promise you the exact same work, especially when it comes to the moss. Okay, so let's have a look at the moss here quickly. I'm going to go from there. All of this is available for you, but I want to explain the picture, because if I can explain the picture, you're going to get it. Okay, and I want you to get it. That's my main focus in life. Okay, let's have a look at this. Why are you laughing like that? Life's great. There is the picture. Right, now, moss are cool things. Okay, moss are cool things. What they do is they go through alternation of generation. Okay, now, you get two types. You get the sporophyte generation, and you get the gametophyte generation. Now, the gametophyte generation is your gametes. Your sporophyte generation gives off spores. Okay, so what I want you to have a look at for me. Okay, if, where am I going to start? Where am I going to start? Yeah, I'm going to start here. Okay, right over here. So I want you to have a look at this part. Okay, let's start there. Now, this is cool, because what happens is, this guy, okay, he produces spores. He produces a couple of spores. Now, a spore, what makes it gametes. You've got this little thing over here, and it drops out. It goes through meiosis. Okay, it goes through sexual reproduction. Okay, this part is not sexual. It just makes gametes. Same as what we do, right? We go and we make sperm cells. Okay, now that is making gametes. Then it takes these gametes and it throws it onto the ground. Cool. Now, once it's on the ground, this is where it starts. That gamete starts growing into a plant. It's very strange. Okay, that thing starts growing into a plant. So you'll see a whole plant has grown, and that plant is an end plant. So let's get this. Okay, It's N. There it is, haploid. Okay, it's an N plant. If it's an N plant, it means it's haploid. And that N plant survives and lives and is happy. Okay, it survives, it lives, and it's happy. We're cool with that. That is asexual reproduction in moss. Now the strange thing about a moss is that the gametophyte generation is actually the dominant generation. It mostly stays in that generation. Hey, how cool is that?
Fantastic.
Now what actually happens is, when it comes to the whole part, one is a male, one is a female. Okay? If you have a look at it, male, female. Okay? And they will produce, they just go through to meiosis and they create one of its cells as a sperm cell. Okay? Does that make sense? And she makes one of her cells as an egg cell. Okay? And then when the time or the conditions are favorable, in other words, when it has rained, okay, when it rains and that moss is covered with water, what the male does, up here, what the male does, he releases these motile sperm things, right? And they swim to the female and they join the female. They join the egg. And then on the moss, on the exact haploid part, the gametophyte generation, the sporophyte generation grows on top. So watch this. If I've got this little plant over here, I'm just going to make a nice little plant. And this brother here is a gametophyte generation. I mean, the gametophyte generation, right? Then what happens is, inside here, there's the egg cell in the female, right? The male sperm cell joins there, and then on this one grows the sporophyte generation, on top of the gametophyte generation, okay? And there he will have this piece that does that, right? There it is, and create spores. And that will throw off, this will die out, that will survive, and carry on going. Okay, so alternation of generation means that there is a plant, a complete plant in the gametophyte generation, and there is a complete plant in the sporophyte generation. There it is. Can you see? Look there. That part is the gametophyte generation. The top part is sporophyte generation. If we have a look at it, what is reproduction? We've got to start there from the beginning, okay? Because remember, you get sexual and you get asexual. We've spoken about this already. Now we're having a look at sexual. And when it comes to sexual, you need two parents, first of all. Very, very important. Two parents. You need two, right? It doesn't work by itself. Okay, so I want you to think about that very carefully, some people.
That'd be awkward.
Doesn't work by themselves. Got to have two. Next one, okay? The organism of the same species has to be part of it. So, and this is important, okay? Have a look here. Same species, okay? It is impossible, and I want you to listen to this carefully because I would love to try it, right? It is impossible to take a little cat, this gorgeous little cat that looks like a nice tiger, right? And my Great Dane, which stands about that size, yes, and mate them. You are going to get a cat the size of a Great Dane. Can you imagine that? Hey?
No.
Megan?
No. That bit isn't like a liger or a quagga.
Yeah,
like,
but if you think about it, those are two cats. I'm talking about a dog and a cat joining together.
like cat dog.
It's impossible.
That's the show, by the way.
Okay, so it's got to be of the same species. That is very, very, very important. Okay, so there's got to be two of them. It's got to be from the same species. Okay, let's have a look. And the whole thing creates a new living organism of that specific species. So if we have a look at it, how am I going to put this? I'm trying to put it in the best way possible. If you have a look, you can't mix a dog and a cat, as I was saying, right? But you can take a boxer, if you know, and I don't mean one of those that stand in the ring like those big boys. I'm talking about a boxer dog, right? And you can take a Great Dane, for instance, and you mix them together. Okay, they're going to come out with a completely, as we know it, a pavement special, but they're going to come out with a type of dog. It's still a dog. Do you understand where I'm coming from? When we talk about purebreds, we're talking about boxers mixing with boxers and Great Danes mixing with Great Danes, and they can go on.
Same
right?
species.
But you can interbreed those two different things, but they are the same species at the end. Okay, does that make sense? Like humans, right? If we take it in this sense, black and white can mix, the colored can mix, the Chinese can mix, the England can mix, the Australians can mix, everybody can mix, right? Because we're all humans. Do you understand? It doesn't matter whether color, race, anything. It's all got to do with the human race. Right, Megan?
Yes.
Cool. So
It's like
we're
a
all
dog.
happy with that. That's the first thing. Now we're going to go on to male reproductive system.
Llewellyn.
Yes, yes.
No, I'm just saying your name because you're a male.
Yes, me. Perfect. The
But
best
don't-
thing on earth. I've got to say that because it's the only way that I can survive. It's the nice parts. Right, so let's have a look at it. The role of the male, okay? The most important part, firstly, is to impress the female, right? You've got to take her out, take her somewhere nice, make sure you respect her. She's got to respect you, dress up, smell good, make her smile, laugh.
You make
know,
it sound like that's like effort. They should always do that.
Always easy. We're
Always.
just trying to make it so that they think. Right, so that's the first thing. Then when you get married and you say, I do, right, and the ball and chain comes along, right, then this starts happening. Okay, the male's role in the reproductive system, okay, so the reproductive system is to, it's the most important thing, okay, we need to make sperm cells, right? Now that is so difficult, okay? When you get to the right age, you will figure out how difficult it is. Okay, let me give you a clue. I'm going to actually try and show you live on TV. Are you ready? Nice and easy, eh? Very difficult.
That looks
Simple.
hard.
You just do it. It happens. Okay, so it happens inside. You don't have to worry. It just happens. So that's our role already, just to make sperm. Okay, first of all.
That didn't take a lot of effort. Just saying.
That is difficult.
Yeah.
It's simple. Then the next one, you deliver the sperm to the female. Okay, so you put it into the body of the female, so that it can fertilize with the female's egg. Now that takes a bit of work. Okay. but-
Finally.
sorry.
Finally.
Finally takes a bit of work, but you got to understand that it's part of it. Okay, you've got to make sure that's part of the man. We make the sperm and we need to put it in the right place so that the female, it can mix with the female's egg. That's our job. And then our job is done. Right. Yes?
Yeah.
Rubbish.
No,
You're
no.
going to have a baby and you got to get up late at night and you got to look after the child and you got to
Please.
make sure that they're happy. And there's a lot of process. The man just doesn't end there. So don't think it's quick and easy and it ends there. Right. We need to go through everything. Then, if I have a look at it and I bring this down, there it is. Okay, I've made it nice and big, nice and colorful, so that we can actually see what's going on. Now, you can get this picture in black and white on your final exam. Okay, you must be able to label it. Now, I've put on a lot of labels that they might not ask for. For example, let me just get a nice different color pen, because we like seeing things. Let's have a look at it. You will not need to know. Okay, because it's not part of the system. They always put it in there so you can see it. Okay, the bladder. There we go. The bladder, right? Not going to ask you about the bladder. They're not going to ask you about the pubis either. Okay, but it's there. This is a nice complex. Because you guys are smart and you guys are perfect, that's how I see you guys. So, a couple of things. I'll let you look at the stuff and you can understand where it comes from. Okay, next one. You might need to know that one. So, we're going to leave that one out. This side. The ampule, okay? Keep that aside. That's fine. Ejaculate, yes. Prostate, that's gland. The anus, yes. We need scrotum. We'll need, okay? Let's see, urethra. Yeah, we'll leave those ones. Those are the ones that are very important. Okay. Now this is still in big detail. Okay. It's not just easy stuff. It's also in big detail. Okay. Now I want you to have a good look. Very, 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 very carefully. the males, they are cool. Because what happens is, we make the sperm in this area here. Hopefully you can see that. In this area here, right? These fat things that come over here is very important. We're going to go through those, right? And it's going to come up this whole tube, okay? It's going to come around. It's going to join in here. It's going to go past the seminiferous vesicles and all of that. And it's going to go in there, and it's going to come all the way out the front. Yes. So a long journey, right? It's a long struggle all the way through. Now, I want you to have a look at this very carefully. You see this point here, okay? And this here is the bladder. That's why I put it in. Now, the bladder and this tube, they come through the exact same tube. Exactly the same tube. Now, let me explain something to you. While we're getting through there, we can get it on. The male semen, or say, let me put it the right way. The male sperm, okay? They are very, very delicate. Okay, now remember, you get two types. If you remember very carefully, according to your genetic crosses, you get two types. Let's see how clever she is. What are the two types?
Of sperm.
Of sperm. What type? You get two types. You normally have a look at them. Can you remember what they are?
No.
Because they make you and me.
Yeah.
Can you remember?
No.
See, we got it already, right? We have
Tell
the
me.
X and the Y's.
Oh, chromosome. Okay, yeah, you could have given me a
Told
clue.
you got to get it right. I never give you clues.
Yeah, but
you get
still.
the X and the Y. Okay, now they normally have a look at the X sperm and the Y sperm. Okay, cool. Now, those two, oh, that doesn't look very good, but it's fine. Those two are very, very important. Okay, because the Y sperm will tell you if the Y sperm joins with the egg, you're going to get a male. If the X sperm joins with the egg, it's going to be a female. Now, this guy, this one here, the Y sperm, okay, that brother, he's quick, okay? He holds nothing back. When he's out of the blocks, so whoo, and he goes mad. And like, okay, he doesn't ask for directions. He doesn't stop at a garage. He goes one way, and that's all the way to the fallopian tubes, right? And he doesn't stop. Are you with me? Yes?
Yeah.
You understand where I'm coming from? Okay? Now, the female, the eggs, the eggs, when they come out and very good. Let's have a chat. It's a couple of mates. We will talk. Ooh, look, there's a garden. Let's have a look at the garden and a smile and have a tea garden and everything. Okay, so they take it nice and slowly. But the problem is that these two are completely different. This one is strong, and this one, yeah, the Y-axis is fast, and he's dedicated, and he's going one way, right? The X is not fast. She's not fast. She's not worried about it, right? She's worried about getting there. She'll go from here to Durban. It doesn't matter if it takes 12 hours. The man gets in a sports car and tries to do it in 2. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's how you see it. But the difference is that this male, right, he might be fast, but he's weak. Okay? He's very, very weak. He dies like that. He just gives up. He dies. He can't last very long. Where the female, that woman, right, strong as they are, they can survive till the bitter end.
What does
right?
that tell you? Just saying, think. Exactly.
Get there quickly, otherwise you're dead. Simple. That's what it means.
Yeah, but
right,
exactly.
So the Y sperm is very fast. The X is very, very slow. But, right, it's very important. It's very strong. And the nice part about this is, you've got to understand it, that they both do not like acidic areas. Okay, so they do not like acidic areas. Which means, if the female or the lady has a lot of things like pineapples and citrus and all of that, her whole body becomes very citrus, right? So very, very acidic, okay? And as these sperms enter her, the acidity will kill the sperms very, very quickly. So the first sperms that are going to go are the males and then the females, okay? So what do we do as men? How do we try and give the sperm the best chance possible? Do you know, Megan?
No.
We add the stuff called sailors. I don't know if I'm going to try and see if you can get it right. Can you think what it is?
A sailor.
A sailor. So we've got the sperm cell, and we normally add sailors to it. I choose sailors because it's quite a cool word afterwards. Come. What are sailors? They are? Where do you find them?
Sea.
And what are they are?
Seamen.
There we go. It's semen. We add bright as anything.
Genius.
We add semen. Semen feeds the sperms, first of all, and second of all, it brings the acidity of the female down. And then what is also nice is, remember that we have got to get the sperm from there all the way through, or should I say, from here all the way through, if you follow the pen, all the way down and out, right? But once we have ejaculated the stuff, right, some of it still stays in this pipe, which means we need to get rid of it, okay? And you will notice on most men, okay, most men, once they have gone through sexual reproduction, okay, give them about 10, 15 minutes, not even, but sometimes 5, they need to go to the toilet, okay? It's built in them. The reason for that is they will not let the urine come out until they're finished, right? But the urine passes through, and urine is very acidic. And the acidity of that urine will kill all the sperm and stuff that is left in this pipe, okay? All the sperm, let me just see if I can get something nice. There we go. All the sperm that comes in here, let me just go through there. All that sperm that's in there, it'll kill everything that's left in that pipe and push it out. Okay, that is why men normally urinate after making love. Okay, so that's cool. That's just something extra for you guys to know. Okay, that is the side view. Okay, that's cool. A lot of times they use it. But they also use, if you have a good look, they use the frontal view. Have a look at that. Okay, not very difficult. This just looks a little bit more strange. You can't see the detail. Of course, on each side, if you have a look, each side is the testes, right? You have the main in the middle. You've got the bladder on the top. And then you've got the prostate gland. Now, the prostate gland is where they get... prostate gland is where you get more food and all this other stuff for the sperm to survive, okay? And the sperm goes through the prostate gland. Now, the prostate gland is very, very important. And I'm trying to see if I can put it in the best way possible. But if the sperm goes through the prostate gland, right, and it doesn't get cleaned out, okay, what happens is the sperm die in there, and then it gets infected. And if this carries on and on and on and on, you can get prostate cancer. Just putting it out there for you guys to realize. Okay, so there we go. That's some information that's useless, but, well, useful, but not for us at the moment. But the prostate gland is very important in sexual reproduction. Okay. You need to know this, okay? You need to know these labels. You need to know the fallopian tube. Very important, okay? You need to know your ovaries, okay? So they're the ovaries, they're the fallopian tubes. Very simple. You need to know the uterus, okay? It's nice. Women are easy. Yeah, right.
Excuse
right?
me?
No, just think about it. No.
Okay.
This here, compared to the male's diagram, can you remember the male's diagram? Females is easy, right? But this is easy. Yes, wait. Becomes difficult. Okay, then you've got the lining, the uterine lining, okay, which we're going to speak about, which is on, then you've got the cervix, okay, that's just this part over here, right, and then of course you've got the vagina and the hymen, okay, which is a light skin that's over there, very light. That is your virginity. How's it called that?
Beautiful.
Please remember that it can be broken by a lot of things. Something very simple, horse riding. How cool is
I've
that?
heard that before.
Horse riding can break it. So never stress. Okay, cool. So we got the first one. There we go. In mammals, now we're going to say exactly what it's used for. in mammals, okay, in the mammals, which is us, female have a sexual cycle. Okay? So what they do is every morning they climb onto a bicycle and they trap to work. No, I'm kidding. It's not like that. It's a different cycle, right? And all you girls are going to know about it, right? And us boys know about it, but we pretend we don't. Okay? And they can be divided into 3 cycles. Okay? It is divided into 3 cycles. Trust me. Okay, the first one, the ovarian cycle. Okay? Or here it is, estrous cycle. Very simple. In the cycle, that leads to the production of mature ova. Okay, which are your eggs. Nice and easy. Next one. Next cycle. The uterine cycle. Okay, the preparation of the lining of the uterus to receive a fertilized egg. In other words, okay, that is packing blood against the wall of the uterus. Okay, remember what the uterus is? There it is. It's packing blood over here. You all got me. Okay? There it is, the endometrium. This is what it is here, this whole piece. This whole piece here. Okay? That's the blood being packed. That's the second cycle. And then the third cycle is the menstrual cycle. Okay? Now the menstrual cycle, women are so embarrassed. Am I right, Megan? Women get embarrassed about that cycle.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if you have any idea how important that cycle is, you'd never get embarrassed about it.
Please explain to me.
So we'll get
Do
there.
it.
So the menstrual cycle, okay, it's the shedding of the lining out the uterus of the uterus lining to get rid of the fertilized egg. That's what it is. Okay, so the cycles are controlled by certain hormones, ovarian hormones in the body. Okay, so all the hormones go together. Now you've learnt about these hormones. You're going to learn about the cycling and the negative feedback and all of those hormones inside there. I love this section because it's got to do with hormones, and it's very, 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 very simple. I promise you it's simple. You need to concentrate and you'll be fine with it. Okay, so remember it always starts, right, with the hormone produced by the hypothesis. You see, here we go. Starts, right? Can you say that word today?
Hypothesis. I could say that word. Take that. Boom.
Can't say it today. Hypothesis. It's the
Hypophysis.
pituitary gland. Simple. Okay. I cannot say that word for some reason, and I don't know why. Maybe it's just today. Okay. So that is the hormones of the female. Okay, cool. And I want to try and get through it. Look at that.
That
Okay?
looks very
That
confusing.
is so confusing. It's scary. Rubbish. It does look like it now. But this is part of the ovarian cycle. This is the ovarian cycle, right? And this is very important with the menstrual cycle as well. Okay, so let's have a look at this. I've got all the notes here on how everything goes and yada, yada, yada. Okay, so let's have a look at this. It starts and it goes. If I have a look at it, always look for the arrow. There it is. Okay. I'm going to run through it like this with the hormones. So listen very, very, very carefully. Pituitary gland secretes a specific hormone called FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, which you've learned. Follicle stimulating hormone stimulates the follicle. That's why it's called follicle stimulating hormone. That's quite cool, huh? It stimulates the follicle to be made. So it goes and it says, okay, follicle, primary follicle, I want you to be made. You need to start working. Okay, so the FSH comes along, and there it is. The new follicle is made. That follicle is called the Graafian follicle. Okay? Now, all these names you should get to know. Okay? The Graafian follicle. The Graafian follicle is quite cool because the more it moves in time, okay, for about 14 days, right? This thing gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay? And inside here, okay, inside these things is your egg, your oocyte, okay? When it comes to the oocyte, now remember, the oocyte just doesn't get made. This thing also starts with a single cell, which is diploid. It goes through a division, mitosis, right? Before it goes in there, this cell here goes through mitosis, creating a cell. That cell goes through meiosis 1, okay, to make another cell. makes 2. Those 2 go through meiosis again to create haploid cell. How many cells do we have inside this Graafian follicle? Let's see if Megan's been listening. How many cells inside the Graafian follicle if it's gone through meiosis?
Give me a number from 1 to 5.
4.
3.
Okay, it's 4. Right.
I hate you.
So there's 4 in there. One of them is going to become the egg, right? And 3 of them are going to become food. for the
Food.
egg. How cool is that? Just food. Okay, so this guy, he gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until the 14th day when he is way too big. Okay, now, this oocyte in here, okay, this is one of the lady's specific hormones. They are called estrogen. You with me?
Got it.
Estrogen. Now, estrogen has 2 things. Okay? Firstly, very important. Firstly, it stops the pituitary gland, right? Stops the pituitary gland from sending FSH. Why does it stop the pituitary gland from sending FSH? What does FSH do?
Are you
we'll
asking-
leave it out
are
of
you
it.
asking me?
You
I
see,
thought you were
women, women don't know this stuff, and that's the problem I have, right? This is very important stuff, right? For a lady, this is perfect. This is amazing, okay?
Okay.
This what makes them so perfect, okay?
Aw.
Especially these things, because estrogen is producing, right? As the estrogen gets more and more and more, these things get, well, as these things get bigger, it gives off more estrogen. But estrogen over here is produced to stop FSH. Because if it doesn't stop FSH, FSH's job is to tell the follicle to make a new oocyte. So if we stop FSH, we can't make another oocyte. And that is why a lady every month can produce 1 egg and not 1 now and a few weeks later another one. Otherwise, she's going to get pregnant and pop this baby out and 2 weeks later pop another one out and 2 weeks later pop another one out. And not going to be very nice, is it? Estrogen must stop that. And it makes sure that blood goes to the uterine wall, the endometrial wall, right? It sends the blood there. So that's its 2 jobs, okay? Now, when it gets bigger and bigger, the bigger it gets, the more hormone of estrogen it gives off. Yes. Okay. When it gets to a certain size, round about the 14th day, okay, there's so much estrogen, okay, that in the body, roundabout, the pituitary gland secretes a specific hormone to stop this thing. It makes it burst. Okay, do you know what that hormone is? That hormone's called luteinizing hormone, or LH. Luteinizing hormone takes this Graafian follicle, right, and it makes it burst. So if you think about it, before I drop my pen, luteinizing hormone comes along, and let's say this is a balloon, and it gets to a certain spot. If I can move that all the way down again. Wait, where did I go? Oh, yeah. Next one, sorry. There we go. It gets to that spot over there, and luteinizing hormone goes, "Dah!" and squeezes it, and the oocyte like pops out. And when it pops out, it goes into, let me go back here. This is where we're working with. That part that we're working with is there, right? So what happens is, it pops out, and it sends the egg into that little spot over there. And of course, the egg is going to travel all the way down. Cool. We're happy with that. That's the simple part. Okay? Now, if I get back here, luteinizing hormone makes that burst. Then, this thing here, okay, if you have a look, becomes the corpus luteum. Now, the corpus luteum produces progesterone. Now, progesterone is also very important, because progesterone still stops FSH from being made. Okay? There's still estrogen being made because it used to make estrogen. But now the estrogen is not as strong. Okay? Now it starts producing progesterone. And what progesterone does, okay, it takes this wall, this lining, the endometrium lining in the uterus, right? And it makes it thick. Like a, you know, jelly. Hey, you've made jelly before, Megan?
Lots of time.
Okay. Now, when you make jelly with the hot water, what does it look like? You can swirl it in the bowl. And
Got a
looks
little
like
stuff at the bottom.
cold drink, and it looks like cold drink, and you can swirl. That's what estrogen does. It collects all the stuff and puts it in a bowl. Right. And it gives it horns, and yeah, there we go. Okay? Progesterone puts that bowl in the freezer and makes the jelly to become stiff. Okay, that's what progesterone does. It makes those lining walls nice and stiff so that the egg that is coming down, remember this thing that was produced? Going down the fallopian tubes, and it gets stuck in the uterine wall, the endometrium, right? Gets stuck in there in case of fertilization. It's got to be there for 9 months. You get where I'm coming from? So that wall has got to be nice and solid. Okay? Then, as it's nice and big, as it carries on, it becomes smaller and smaller. And the smaller it becomes, the less progesterone it produces. Up to a certain point where there's no more progesterone, what is going to happen to those walls? Because there's no fertilization taking place, okay, it's very important. If fertilization happens, this thing here stays and keeps producing progesterone, because the minute I stop the progesterone, what's going to happen to those walls? They're going to cave in, and they're going to be sent out with an egg that's not fertilized. If the egg is fertilized, this thing stays here, and it says, hold on, keep sending progesterone up to a certain point, and then the baby, or the embryo inside, puts its own progesterone. So that's cool, to protect itself. But this thing here, it starts giving more and more progesterone. When it's not happy, it starts decreasing, and then it completely disappears, and we menstruate. So I've just done the ovarian cycle and the menstrual cycle in the same time. How cool is that?
You rocked that ish.
Okay, that is so important. It's scary. Now, if I have a look at it, I've just told you all of that. You see FSH, follicle stimulating hormone. Cool. And it goes all the way down. Mature follicle, Graafian follicle. I've explained it. Hopefully you've taken notes. And this stuff is all on the net, right?
All on the net.
Cool. So, that is cool. Now, I want you to go here. You notice that I said specific things, like days. Okay. Your menstrual cycle starts on day, Megan? Day?
1.
Day 1. Now, when is day 1? That's always a big question. When is day 1? Megan? Come, let it happen, girl. Sing it out.
What are you asking me? I've got like 5 people talking
Yeah,
to me.
you need to listen to me. I'm important.
Okay, go. What did you ask me?
'Kay.
Ask me again.
When is day 1?
Every girl's different.
No. When is
Yes.
day 1? When do you start day 1? When's the first day?
When you start bleeding, day
There we go.
1.
That's the main thing. When you start bleeding.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Got it.
That is
Got
day
it.
1. Not difficult.
No, but I know what you're saying.
That is day 1.
Could be
okay?
28 days, 32,
Yeah, no, but
depends.
you're
That's
looking
what
at
I
the whole
meant.
cycle.
Yes.
I'm just talking about when is day 1. When do
you
you
start bleeding.
You don't start day 1 the day you stop bleeding. You start day 1 the day you start bleeding. Do you understand? And day 1, if I can get this all the way up, day 1 is when FSH is produced. Okay? So this is happening while you're bleeding. Okay, cool. So day 1 is when you start bleeding. Now, in humans, we like doing things like, what's that thing called where it's the average? Okay, so the average is everything.
Yeah.
Okay, so they say day 1 is when you start bleeding. Day 14 is where that Graafian follicle explodes. And the minute that it explodes, that's called ovulation. It's when you release the ovary. Okay, so they release that. That's day 14. And then day 28 is the last day. That's the last day before you start bleeding. Now, that doesn't mean that you can only, that's what it's supposed to be. Okay? We are different. We are individuals. We change. Do you understand where I'm coming from? Okay, these things are very important. And what I did want to show you is a type of question that they're going to show you. They're going to give you graphs like this, where it's the ovarian cycle, they give you the temperature, they give you the 3 different hormones, and they give you, see that's bleeding? And they give you how the endometrium, how thick it gets and how thin it gets and how it breaks down. And they can ask you questions on everything when it comes to that. You get me? So that's very, very important.